The charge that was today was for breach of probation. Now, breach of probation stemmed from two previous charges. The first charge was a motor vehicle a motor vehicle ticket that Dave had to come to court for. Dave had already felt threatened inside of this building prior to that specific day, and so he didn't trust the sheriffs or the courthouse to not use force against him. And so Dave, for his own protection, was using his phone to record every interaction that he was having in the court for his own protection and to keep his own records, which we all have a right to do. If they have a right to keep records, so do we.
It's a fundamental principle of business.
100%. So the judge didn't like that Dave was recording in court, and even though Dave specifically asked if there is a law that states that I am not able to film in this court, I will put my phone down. So he offered a peaceful resolution, and the judge didn't like it. And the judge also didn't state the law that prevented Dave from actually recording. There is no law, exactly. So what he did instead was he got up, which he knows this. So if a judge stands up and exits the courtroom, the stenographer and the court records turn off. And so he stood up, left the court, and told the sheriffs that they could do whatever they wanted with Dave. So as he left, the sheriffs trespassed, assaulted Dave, smacked his phone out of his hand, put him in a headlock. They did a bunch of stuff to Dave. Made it seem like Dave was the one who assaulted sheriffs, and also made it seem like Dave was resisting arrest. So then they created another bogus charge. From then on, the motor vehicle gets tossed aside. They start this other charge. Now it's an even more severe charge on Dave. Now he has supposedly assaulted a sheriff, and he is now resisted arrest. So that's a lot more severe than a motor vehicle ticket, right? So then we show up to trial that day here with about 40 to 50 people willing to go in to hear the trial. We show up to the courthouse. Yeah, okay, perfect. As you know, the courthouse doors were locked. They went to unlock the doors for us. They said only for today the doors were locked. But they were allowing a bunch of other people to go in unmasked, but they wouldn't let us in unless we were masking ourselves. And so we wouldn't go in because at first they were saying that Dave was the only one allowed in, and then with more pushing on the sheriffs, they were like, okay, Dave plus 2 witnesses, but you all need to be masked. And we're like, nope, that goes against our fundamental rights. We're not going in there because we know what will happen if we mask ourselves and go in there. They'll use that against Dave because they want to suppress us by forcing us to wear masks. And so so we knew that it was not a good idea for Dave to go in there and mask and without his people. So we're like, no, if they don't want to allow us into the court, it's Dave's right to have his voice heard. If you guys are blocking us from entering the courthouse, it's the judge's duty, especially a judge of higher court, Queen's Bench. They can say any place, anytime. So feel free to send the judge out here to have the trial out here, and you can bring the sheriffs out here.
I was here too. Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah.
And so then they didn't like that, and in the court audio, believe it or not, the court audio compared to what was happening out here, 2 very different things. The sheriffs were telling the judge up there that we were never even trying to make an attempt to come into the court, which was a bold-faced lie. We were down here telling the sheriffs we want in, there's a trial, let us in. They were the ones blocking us. And so then inside, this is where I wanted to get to. Inside the court, the Crown prosecutor started an ex parte motion. So an ex parte motion is when hold on 1 second. An ex parte motion is when the Crown or one side of the court decides to proceed without the other party present. And so Logan Landry, who was the Crown on that matter, wanted to proceed because David wasn't in the court ex parte. So he's there saying, yeah, I'm going to proceed ex parte. The judge knew that he was missing a piece to win his matter, which was he couldn't prove identity. He didn't have Dave there, so he couldn't prove that who he was talking about was actually this Dave character. So had he continued to proceed with ex parte, he would have lost his trial. And so the judge kept, because she's supposed to remain so impartial, she's not supposed to lead him in any way to win his matters. She's not supposed to give him hints to get him to win, because that shows her bias towards him. And so she's there being like, if you want, you can issue a warrant. She kept telling, like, subtly introducing the idea that he could issue a warrant rather than proceed ex parte, because then he would have the body, he would have the person in court, and he could actually proceed and prove identity, and he would lose his matter. So she kind of coached him to end up taking a break. He ends up taking a break, and then after he comes back from break, he's like, yeah, no, I'm going to issue a warrant. And so then he doesn't proceed ex parte anymore because he figured out that he would lose. Then they issue the warrant. We're all sitting down here in front of the courthouse. The cops who are standing nearby come and try, and we create a circle around Dave to try and protect him. The cops come and break through our circle again, touching us and assaulting us in the process. They're not allowed to trespass us. We're in a very defensive position for Dave, protecting him from being assaulted and from being trespassed. They had no authority to come here, use force on him, and to drag him up into that court. So they did. They trespassed him, assaulted him, brought him into the court, took him away from his defense. He didn't have any of his paperwork, and they took him away from the public, the people who he felt protected around while being here in court, and brought him in court, used coercive tactics while he had already stated that he was under duress because of the force that had been used on him. They used coercive tactics to get him to enter a guilty plea. So because Dave was under duress and felt very stressed, he figured that rather than going through trial, if he took a guilty plea, that he would get a less severe punishment. And so he did, knowing that something didn't feel right after when he was going through it. Dave told us everything that happened, and we're like, yeah, that's all fraud, and the contract that they made you sign is fraudulent. Anything that is created out of fraud is null and void. So we wrote rescission on the contract. We filed it back with the court saying, no contract. The contract that you made Dave sign is bogus. It's fraudulent. He's not bound by this fraudulent contract. And so because he wasn't bound by it, he didn't have to go to his probation hearings, meetings with the probation officers. So he never showed up. And so the probation officers didn't like that very much. And were wondering why he wasn't present. We contacted them and said, hey, the order was fraudulent to begin with, so he wasn't bound by law to actually follow this order. If you'd like, we can present you with all the evidence to show you that it was fraudulent. Never heard back. The probation officers used the Privacy Act to try and block us from speaking on behalf of Dave, saying that they couldn't communicate with us due to privacy issues. And then later on down the road, we found out that the probation officers had reached back out to the courts and had then issued a new charge against Dave, saying that Dave was in breach of probation. He didn't follow the order. And on the charge, it said without lawful excuse to do so. Well, when did they ever give Dave his lawful opportunity or lawful opportunity to give his excuse? They didn't.
I.e. due process of law.
They never gave him the option. They never gave him the opportunity to be able to give his lawful excuse. So I think today they just absolutely knew that when we were walking there that they were going to get floored and destroyed. So rather than actually going through with the trial, they were like
saving themselves the embarrassment. Keeping face.
So are you going to counter any kind of
criminally charged who fraudulently instituted charges?
Yeah, so
that is the bottom line of what everyone has an absolute right in law to do.
Are you okay with me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, I
yeah.
didn't mean to
No,
cut
no,
you
no,
off.
it's fine.
Okay. Absolute right means unconditional. They don't get to tell us we don't get to lay the charge. They don't get to tell us when we lay the charge. They don't get to tell us who brings the charge. We all have an absolute individual right to collectively do what the Crown prosecutors do. See, they're acting as power of attorney for the public, and people don't understand this. We also have the authority to act as power of attorney for the public, okay? That is called a prosecutor when you're acting as power of attorney. They need to be licensed at the bar to be a public attorney, but we all have a private individual capacity called attorney in fact to publicly prosecute anyone in a public office. And in the voice of three or more, a fact is established in law. So if we as a community, as a grand jury, bring a charge with we could say 12, I say 21. 21.
We already signed something.
Yes, we did. The witnesses that were there to be the jury to the fraud that was being committed against him. And they knew we were there they knew we were coming today to do it again.
So we're going to proceed forward.
Oh, yes, we are.
We'll be filing
Troy Sweet. Yeah, we will be together as a community. As a community, not one individual saying a judge did something, not that a sheriff did something. As a community, we were publicly prosecuting them for their fraudulent actions against the public, which a wrong against the public is defined as a crime.
And a wrong against one, especially denial of right, is wrong against all.
Yeah.
So every single
And they have no
person-
excuse for the law?
Yeah, every single person who was in attendance, and not even anyone. It doesn't even have to. You don't even have to be in attendance.
It's a fraud
It's
to
a
conceal
fraud.
a fraud.
Yeah, it's a fraud against everyone. So everyone actually has a right to bring a charge against that judge.
And the charges that will be laid, as far as I'm aware right now, is going to be against Suzanne Bernard, is going to be against Troy Sweet. Because when you criminally charge someone, everyone has, it's an absolute right to be innocent until proven guilty, and they have to have their opportunity to be heard. What they generally will not do, judges will generally not testify. They will never expose themselves to the liability, because if they speak while under oath and they are proven to be wrong, knowing it be false, that's perjury. And then once you're discredited from speaking the truth, they're gone. They are gone. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to remove the corruption by removing the ones that are enforcing the corruption.
This is what they don't want us to be doing, and that's why they were fighting us and pushing and resisting what we were doing as hard as they were, is because they know the power that we actually have as people. They don't want us to know the power that we have because they've held on to that power for so long. But it's not them who's in control, it's us who's in control. The people are in control of these courthouses. These courthouses were built for us as a community, for our protection and our benefit. And when there are agencies or agents who have then captivated these agencies and are using it for their own selfish gain and for our detriment and punishment, it's not for our benefit anymore. It's up to us to actually hold them accountable so that we return these courthouses to what they once were, which is for our benefit.
And justice, and free justice for all.
And free justice, yeah.
And criminal charges, by the way, don't have any dollar value attached to them, which means you don't need a penny to lay a criminal charge. And you don't even need a government-issued photo ID. Because I already clarified that in court on the record.
That's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
So, again,
When is this happening?
So, we got a
we gotta clear the backlog of their frauds first.
and then we'll go for it.
If you need any signatures, let me know.
Yes, we
For
do.
sure. And sorry, what was your name?
Deanne.
Deanne. Thank you for coming again. Thank you guys.
Hey, I thank you.
Good.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks for being